Okay, we're going to go through factoring, factoring trinomials, right? You're going to have an example going first. So let me click on that. All right. Now, in general, the general form of a quadratic, and a quadratic is in trinomial form, is ax squared plus bx plus c. Now, the a is the coefficient. The b is the coefficient. So a is the coefficient of x squared, b is the coefficient of x, and then c is a constant or a number. So a, b, and c are all numbers. You're going to need to know those. There are a bunch of steps in doing this. There are multiple ways of doing this. People get confused. I'm going to show you one way. If you learn another way and it works for you, that's fine. But I found trying to give you multiple ways just confuses you, confuses students. So I'm just going to be doing one way on this. We haven't done the equal 0 yet.
I've done it yesterday.
Okay. So x squared minus 6x plus 8. Now, some of you did factoring quadratics yesterday with Ms. Hunsley. If you already know how to do that, go try to do that now. Some of us, we did not get that far yesterday. So write that down, x squared minus 6x plus 8. I'm going to go through 8 steps on this. So first write that down. And now I had to fit all of this on the same page so you can see it. You don't have to squeeze it in. So if you need extra space, use extra pieces of paper and other things as well. All right, step 1 is you need to find the GCF. Okay, greatest common factor for that trinomial. Okay, so the same principles that we were using yesterday, where you look at every monomial in the polynomial, and this polynomial is a trinomial, you look to see what's the greatest common factor. Well, if I did the prime factorization for each of those, I would have x times x for x squared. I'd have 2 times 3 times x for 6x, and then I'd have 2 times 2 times 2 for 8. None of those have all 3 of those monomials. There's nothing that's in common for all 3 of them. So anytime we have that, then the greatest common factor is 1. The reason we have to do this first will be shown on the second video that I'm going to do for this. Step 2, with factoring a trinomial, you're going to make a 2 by 2 box, or again, using the area method. So you're going to make a 2 by 2 box. Always, when we're working with trinomials, it's always going to be 2 by 2. Next, step 3. You're going to put the first term in the upper left corner, or the first monomial, excuse me. So in this case, x squared goes in the upper left box, and 8 goes in the lower right box. That's step 3. Now I'm going to give you a chance to write it. Again, I'm going very slow. If I'm going too fast, please let me know, and we'll stop. It's very important that you take the time on this. I know there's a lot of steps, and this is one of the longer process-oriented solutions, which for someone like myself, where you do have to deal with a lot of process when you get into the real world, this actually helps people to determine sometimes how well you do in following the process. Anyone need a little more time to write that down? Okay, go ahead, Lily. Lily, just let me know when you're done. Got it? All right, the next step, step 4. Now, we have an A, a B, and a C. And I apologize again, there's probably challenges with my display where it cuts off the last part. So the A in this, I come up here, okay? Since there's nothing in front of the x squared, we know that's 1. Okay. The B is minus 6, okay? And the C has to be what? What does C have to be? 8. It's not showing up on here, so just write C equals 8. And those who are watching on the video, C equals 8. And I apologize. I'm going to talk about that. I first want you to make sure you write down your A, B, and C. You have to write down your A, B, and C to determine your A times. So A equals 1, B equals negative 6, C equals 8. So that's hopefully you see that. 1, negative 6, and 8. Does anyone not see that? All right. Step 4 is that once you find your A, B, and C and have that written down, you must do A times C. You need to find A times C. So in this case, what's my A? 1. What's my C? 8. So what's A times C? 8. 8. 1 times 8 is 8. All right. So that's step 4. And again, now the next thing I'm going to show you, don't have to put it all together. You need more space because something pretty big is going to come up now. Okay. I'm making a big X. Okay. A big X, and I'll explain what all of this is. Okay. I'll explain what all of this is. All right, so I set up my X. At the top part of the X, whatever you got for A times C goes here. Okay. So it's not really that complicated. It's more visual, so I like this way, this visual way. So step 5, I make the big X. My A times C goes up here. So in this case, 8 goes here. And my B goes down here. And B is negative 6. And I put a little multiplication symbol underneath whatever I put here. So in this case, I put 8 multiplication, and I put a plus sign here. And I'll explain why in a moment. That's why. Now, Austin, you said you already did this work. So are you comfortable? You think you can do this stuff now from like yesterday? Okay, but I want you to do the same thing I do. 1, 2, 5. Okay, do 1, 5, 9, and 13. And once you're done with 9 and 13, let me know, and I'll let you look at the answer.
I did 1, 5.
Okay. Well, we'll do 9 and 13, and then we'll see. And let me know, and I'll take a look at the answer. Did 8? Okay. Now, what is this? Now, here's the key part. Everything up to this part has not been that difficult. It's just time consuming. This part's not that hard either if we remember our factor. You're looking for two numbers that when multiplied together, that's why this multiplies. So this number times this number must equal 8. And this number, the same numbers, this number plus this number must equal negative 6. Okay? Now, I'm just letting you know why. Now we're going to do the next step. Okay? Do the next step. Okay? This is the hard part. Not that hard, actually. Find the factors of 8. Okay? Find the factors of 8. So just start doing all the factors of positive 8. So you just start doing some of them. So the factors of positive 8 are 1 and 8. Now, we know that 1 times 8 is 8, but it's 1 plus 8, negative 6. Is 1 plus 8 negative 6? No. So it can't be those two. 2 times 4 multiplies to 8, but 2 plus 4, negative 6? No. Well, then we have to use, there's other factors of positive 8, and that's if we multiply two negative numbers together. Okay? So, negative 1 times negative 8, that is positive 8. But is negative 1 plus negative 8 negative 6? No. No. Negative 9. Now, negative 2 times negative 4, that's positive 8, is negative 2 plus negative 4 negative 6. Is negative 2 plus negative 4 negative 6. Yes. So it works for the top and works for the bottom. This is the key part. This is quote unquote one of the harder parts of this. But once you practice it, it actually is not that bad. Did I move this? I think I moved this by accident. Oh, there we go. All right. All right. So negative 2 and negative 4. So that's now. If you can figure this out without a table, do it without a table. But if you have to write out all the factors, then you have to write out all the factors so you can see it. Sometimes once you get practice with this, you'll be able to look at it and go, okay, those two multiplied together will give me this, and add it together gives me, oh, I already found it. Sometimes it's like, wow. For example, you might have to find the factors of 72. There's a lot of factors of 72. And so it might not come to you right off the top of your head for that. Okay? Add the factors to the box. Okay? Here. Once I add negative 2 and negative 4, and I'll go back, you see I added the factors to the box. They become the coefficients for the x term. Okay. The coefficients. I'll go back one. Okay, I didn't put it in. I have negative 2. Let's go back. I found negative 2 and negative 4. So I'm going to go back. I found negative 2 and negative 4. You see the little arrow indicating that I found negative 2 and negative 4. I put it up here just so I can double check and visually see, yes, negative 2 times negative 4 is 8. Negative 2 plus negative 4 is negative 6. Now they are my coefficients for my x term, which goes in the open squares of my 2 by 2. And it doesn't matter which one. With negative 4x in the bottom one and negative 2x in the top one, it doesn't make a difference. You do it either way. Actually, Natalie, it might be 9. Might be more than 8. So you add those. So now what we're going to do next is what we did in the previous section. That's why once you get to this part, if you have mastered what we have covered so far, everything's downhill now. Everything after this is, if we've actually mastered what we've done in the past, it's very easy after this. If we haven't mastered what we've done in the past, then that's a challenge. All right, step 8. We need to find a GCF in each row and column. So I'm going to ask, write down step 8, find the greatest common factors for each row and column. So I'm going to let you finish writing it, then I'm going to ask folks to tell me what's the greatest common factor. So let's say, so for this row, what's the greatest common factor between x squared and negative 4x? 1. 1. This is x times x. This is negative 2 times 2 times x. 1x. 1x. Folks, lots of times we're missing that x's are common factors. Okay, so it would be x. Now, what's the greatest common factor between negative 2x and 8? Write it down. Remember, we've done this before. If you have to do prime factorization, then do that. Do that. Yes, 2. Negative 2x is negative 2 times, well, actually, officially, you do negative 1 times 2 times x. And then 8 is 2 times 2 times 2. So what's in common? 2. Again, if we cannot do it in our heads, and that's fine, we must go back and do prime factorization. Now, since this first item is a negative, so it's actually you're going to use negative 2. We'll go to the first item is negative 2. What was on? I said 9 and 13. All right. So x, negative 2. Let's see if we can do the columns. For x squared and negative 2x, what is it? You can do prime factorization, folks. I'm trying to do it in your head if you're not able to do it yet. What's the prime factorization of x squared? Do your best. What do you think? It'd be positive 1x because this first one's positive. Very good. So just 1x. Very good. And what is this one? Negative 4x and 8. Is there an x here? 2 is actually something, again, we're not doing the full prime factorization. 4. Negative 1, yes, it's 4. Negative 1 times 2 times 2 times x. 8 is 2 times 2 times 2. Okay. Folks, we're not at the point yet where you can do it in your heads yet. And if you end up with a factor, for example, you did a good job, it was 2. 2 is a factor, but it's not the greatest common factor. Then you'll get the wrong answer. I said it was a lot of stuff and a lot of work. So here I'm not showing the prime factorization because we've done that already. So this is something we've already need to do. Now I understand this is going to take a lot of practice. That's why we couldn't afford to not do this today. So x, and again, since the negative was first, it's negative 4. And so then your answer ends up being x minus 4 times x minus 2. And obviously because of the properties, it could be x minus 2 times x minus 2. And I understand there's a lot of steps, and we'll go over this again. Okay, we'll go over this again. And I'm not saying you're going to get it right away. That's why we need to practice this quite a bit. So I'll leave it up there for you folks.